G'day guys, you're not going to believe it, but look where we are. We're back. So you know what that means, RB30 build part 2. And Jack's here. Hey Jack. Hey buddy. So we're back here to get cracking on the engine build again. Darren's already flat out in here. Morning Darren. So I've finally got time now between yourself and me. Obviously we've both been flat out, and I don't really want to take up a whole day of your time, but it's more than likely going to happen.
It's Friday, it's all good.
So we'll get a quick rundown of what we're going to do today. You might as well go ahead and explain it.
Yeah.
Because we finished off last time by just pretty much stripping the block, cleaning everything, and yeah, I guess now we're up to the crank.
Yep.
And
so the collar's been put on.
Oh, you done the collar?
Yeah, that's machined and fitted. So we've got to drill that and grub screw that on.
Yep.
Just to be safe. And then we'll drill these aluminium plugs out of here, clean all the crank, re-tap all these to put a screw in, plug in.
So just so people understand, the reason behind drilling them out is just to clean.
There's a lot of rubbish in between that plug and the hole that's drilled through here.
Okay,
so there's a lot of build up of old oil and stuff in there.
Yep.
So we'll drill that out and tap that, put a screw in plug in there.
Yep. Then, so they're on each.
Yeah, each
one.
rod journal's got one.
Yep.
The factory, because they drill straight through here when they machine it.
Yep.
And they drill straight through this here, and there's a gallery going between the main and the rod, so the factory machine will come in with a drill and join that journal with this journal, and then they'll have to block it off after they've drilled it, obviously. So they put these aluminium plugs in, which tend to end up in the sump. You know, the oil pressure will blow them out. And people put them in the acid bath, and the aluminium with the caustic acid bath will eat away this aluminium plug.
Yeah, right.
And they'll end up falling out in the sump. So get rid of them, drill it, clean all this properly, put a screw in one, and then you've got no trouble after that. And
then if later on you rebuild it again, you can just
unscrew the screw and clean it all out, whatever you got to do.
Easy done.
So then we'll balance it, then we'll linish the journals.
Yep.
And it's pretty well ready to go into the engine.
Awesome.
And then we'll resize the rods with this ARP bolts here.
Yep.
So we'll take all the rods apart and cut the conrod end and the cap down.
Yep. And
put all the bolts in, and then the hole will be smaller.
Yep.
So then we'll hone it out round.
Cool.
Yep.
And I'll put a price list of everything up of the parts we're going to be using, and chuck a link to Darren's website. So if you guys want these parts, you can buy them straight from him. So yeah, we'll get cracking, eh?
Yep, that's it.
Awesome. All right, so before we get started on the crank, I'm just going to get Darren to show us what he's been up to. So this is the engine room, and he's got an LS1 on the go, as much as I don't like these engines. What have you done to this one, mate?
Just sort of a factory rebuild and balanced.
Yep.
ARP Rod Bolts, real small crane cam, double row Rollmaster gear set. Gonna have ported heads. Just a real basic thing for a guy's road car. They're just doing a
and you got a nice RB
N1
there.
block, 2.8 litre.
Oh, it is a 2.8?
Yeah, brand new N1 block.
Bloody oath.
Dry sump. And small block Chev there for a ski boat.
Another V8.
Yeah, just an old dinosaur. Yeah.
Jeez.
Get there with that one day. That's slowly.
Well, I like this. I like this a lot. Is any head work done?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bigger valves. CNC valve seat job.
Yep.
Ported the ports. Not crazy porting, but it's it flow quite nice. 272 cams.
Nice.
For air springs and everything else.
Far out.
Yeah.
As you can see, he's been busy. But yeah, we'll get cracking into this crank now. Guys, another bloody 26 block here.
Yeah, that's an M1 block. They made 1100 horsepower at the wheels, that thing.
Jesus. Oh, that's in that white 33 GTR, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen the video to that.
Yeah, so we're freshening this up at the moment because they overfueled it early in its tuning time, and it glazed all the bores up.
Yeah, right.
So now we're just rehoned it. I've got a new set of total seal rings coming from the US, and then he'll put it in and probably make more than 1100 now.
So if you guys want to see that video, it's on your Facebook page.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's on the Lewis Engines Facebook page. So yeah, it's pretty crazy for a street car.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this crank sorted. All right, so we got the crank in a vise, and Darren was just showing me how much crap is actually in there. The drill's this screwdriver is actually, look at it all. So anyway, we got to put something in here to stop this bit of aluminium going through, like way past the actual journal. So the screwdriver is going to do the job, and then we'll just quickly drill that out. And then as for getting that piece out, I have no idea. But we'll get shown in a sec. And then I'll probably go ahead and do all the rest of them. Just like that.
Yeah, look at that crap on the end of the
Oh, yeah.
That's all in there. That's going to go through the motor.
Jesus. So you just do a smaller drill bit?
Yeah, just a small one to start it, and then
do the same size?
Yeah, because we don't want to drill metal out of the crank.
Yep.
Because the hole is perfect for a 1/4 inch scrub screw.
Yep.
See, it's just starting to go loose now, so you want to get as much of that crap out of there so we don't push it through the hole.
Yep.
And hopefully the end of the plug will stick on the drill like that.
Oh yeah.
And then I know I've got the whole plug out, and I'm a happy day.
Yeah, right. So now that.
What I want to see is that plug, and then I'm happy.
Yeah, fair enough. And then you just got to do that with every single one.
Because it can go right down into here. If it gets past this screwdriver that's blocking off the hole,
yep,
it'll try to go down the bottom. There it is there, that.
Just like that.
That's what we want.
Cool.
Then we know we've got it all out, so we've got a nice hole there now that we can tap.
Bloody hell. Oh yeah, so it does go all the way down into...
And all that black shit's out.
Yeah, right.
That's in the hole. That normally wouldn't come out because
it's jammed
if you're blowing in here to clean it, the air will just go straight past it.
Yep.
And in that cavity there, the air won't go around the corner. I've got an air blower that I've welded the end up, which has got holes in the side of the air blower.
Yep.
So that it will go into the hole.
Yep.
Like for an SR, because an SR's actually got a ball bearing here.
Ah.
And they're impossible to get out.
Yeah, right.
And my air blower will go into them. But if it's a gunky one, like these cranks are all out of old VLs and stuff, and they're probably done 250,000.
Yep.
And all this black shit, the air blower won't get rid of that because that's sticky like tar.
Yeah.
So the only way is to drill it, rifle brush it, and tap it, and put a grub screw.
So it looks like I'm going to be busy now.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's the tap.
Yeah. Bit of eyeball engineering, but you can feel the tap if it's going crooked.
Yep.
It's the original hole is perfect size for a 1/4 inch.
Yep.
Tap. See, it sort of finds its own way.
Is there a certain distance you have to go?
Yeah, just you go in about 4 or 5 turns on the tap.
Yep.
And that'll be the right depth for the screw.
Cool.
So that is bottoming out there. So that's just past the surface.
Yep.
So
and that's perfect.
I want it like that. So what I'll do is I'll peen this metal over the top of that plug
so
after.
It can't come out.
So it can't come out. I'll Loctite them in there.
Yep.
Small amount of Loctite. And then peen it over.
Easy.
That's all we need.
Done. So I've got all 6 done now. It's actually pretty simple. 1/4 inch tap. That fits perfectly. And yeah, just use a smaller drill bit to get it obviously started, and then the one the exact same size. So yeah, they're all tapped. On to the next thing. Okay, so now we've just done the we'll drilled and hold the tap for the collar on the front. There's a reason why we haven't put it in the middle. I'll get Darren to explain that. But he put it at the end because your main bolt that holds the balancer on, that basically comes up to almost there, I think. I'm not too sure. I'll get Darren to explain this. He knows what he's talking about. So I just said, like, we've drilled and tapped the collar on now.
Yep.
Because actually, we'll get you to explain the whole process of how that collar's put on. If that's cool.
Yeah, so the crank gets ground to 2 thou smaller than the inside of the collar.
Yep.
And then we'll heat the collar up and knock the collar on.
So the collar is from that bit there to the back.
It's that whole length there.
Oh, it is?
Collar.
Oh, it's that whole thing.
So that's
sorry,
the seal area, and that where it draws the pump, that's the whole collar area there.
Okay.
So it gets ground in a crank grinder to 2 thou smaller than the inside diameter of the collar.
Yep.
So the collar's press fitted on, but you don't want to go knocking it on temperature for temperature because it'll just fret the metal.
Yep.
So we heat the collar up and it expands the collar, and then the collar knocks on real tight, and as the collar cools down it grabs the crank. And then we'll put a grub screw in here just to make sure that this doesn't turn.
Yeah, like the chances of it turning are pretty low anyway,
Yeah,
but this is just a...
It would never turn, but
Yeah.
I always still put a grub screw in there.
Yeah, cool. And you can't do this with the crank in the engine.
No, you can't.
No,
it's
just to stop any confusion
gotta,
there.
yeah, it's got to come.
You can't just...
machine process.
You can't pull your oil pump off and just bang it on. So
That's right. So this bolt, like the crank bolt that holds the harmonic balancer on,
Yep.
goes right into the crank. So that's the depth of the hole.
Yep.
So it'll go
okay.
right in. So the end of it is a point because of their drill bit that goes in.
Yep.
The tapping only goes to about here, but their drill bit goes in further. So when we drill this grub screw into here,
Yep.
we want to go into this snout, like through the collar and then into the snout, but we don't want to go into this center hole.
Yep.
Because what happens, I've seen people put the grub screws up here, grub screws hanging out into the hole in the center, then they'll wind their crank bolt on, feel it going a bit tight, and then
Yep.
rattle gun it on all the way, and by that time the grub screw's smashed, the oil pump is broken, the gears,
Yeah, it's not good.
and they don't know why they haven't got any oil pressure. So
that is why the hole was offset.
yeah,
Yep.
right back into this area here, so that hole where the crank bolt fits into,
Yep.
that's right in the meat of the end of the factory hole.
Yep. Cool.
So it doesn't break into the center. So grub screw goes into the nice meaty bit of the crank.
Yep.
And
And then we just Loctite it on.
yeah,
The grub screw. And these are this is the same grub screw we're using on the rest of the
yeah,
crank.
quarter UNC, yeah.
Yep.
I usually give people 2 screws with the collar. I only just put 1 screw in, but some guys put in 2. I mean, with one in it, it's not going to spin.
Yep. Also, sometimes you put 2 in.
Some people like 2. I always
Yep.
give 2 screws just in case they damage one or whatever.
Yep. Cool.
And it just goes past the surface.
So then, yeah, there's no interference with the oil pump.
Yeah, it just can't be sticking out because the oil pump gear goes over top of it.
Yep.
Just run a file across the top, make sure that there's no burrs.
Easy. Job done.
That's it, yeah.
So now we're going to clean it.
Yep, clean that now.
So now we're onto the block. What are we doing here, mate?
Decking the surface.
So we've got the block all leveled, and you've used what's that bloody gauge thing called?
Dial indicator.
That's it.
So we've plopped it up from corner to corner, end to end. It's about 1 thou lower this end,
Yep.
which is not going to worry us. And so we're just trying to get the surface finish
Yep.
of the deck better than the factory, because the factory surface finish is okay for the real rubbery style composite gasket that they use.
Because we're going to metal.
And now we're going to metal, we've got to get the surface as flat and smooth as we can.
Cool.
Not shiny like a mirror, but just machine finish smooth.
Yep.
So we don't want any rough lines in it that we
Yep.
can feel with our fingernail or anything like that, because the metal gasket will leak water if the surface finish is not correct.
No worries. So that'll probably take a good 30-40 minutes.
Oh yeah, that'll take be a couple of passes before that cleans up. It's only a single point tool.
Yep.
Pretty old style way of doing it, but I'm in a hurry here.
We might as well go have lunch then.
Pretty well. People say, why do I have to face it?
Yep.
Then they can see it. Like,
so how many layers we done now? 2?
yeah, there's 3 thou cut that.
3 thou cut, and you can still see it hasn't even touched some of the areas.
Yeah, see the factory, see those lines?
Yep.
The factory's always very,
Wow.
that's why the steel gaskets leak.
Far out. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we got one more cut, you reckon, or maybe 2 more?
One more. This one here and then a final cut, and that's
Yep.
it. That'll take off about 5 thou off the whole surface.
Yep.
Because we've clocked it up nice and accurate. So we're not machining heaps off.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're on to the part of putting the restrictors in the block. So as you can see here, restrictor 1, oh yeah, restrictor 2. We're going to get a bit of an explanation here of the do's and don'ts.
You look at the hole. That's the factory one there, and that's the one we're putting in. So it's about 1/3.
Yeah, right. So the factory hole's what, like 3 mil
Yeah,
or
about
2?
3.5, I reckon.
Yep. And the restrictors we're putting in are
1.2.
1.2 mil, and we're putting 2 restrictors in, so we're not blocking anything off because we're going to keep the hydraulic head.
Hydraulic head, yeah. So
Okay.
hydraulic head, we'll put 2 1.2s,
Yep.
and if it's just a street motor, no racing scenario, we'll put 1.5s.
Yep.
So if it's a Neo head, we'll put a block off there,
Yep.
and a 1.2 or a 1.5 here.
So you always put the block in the back, the
Always
block
block
off
off
one?
the back if you're going to run
Yep.
a solid style setup.
Yep.
So if you're converting from hydraulic to solid, you run a block off there and either a 1.2 or 1.5 here.
Yep.
If it's a Neo head, same thing, block off 1.2, 1.5. Or if it's a GDR head, RB26 head, block off there and a 1.2, 1.5 there.
So that fixes up any confusion there for the guys that were asking last time. And to get rid of the old ones,
Knock them down here.
so they just bottom out, do they?
Yeah, just tilt bottoms out to bottom. Go a little bit more. Yeah, don't want to go belting in it because inside that restrictor, underneath there's a check valve.
Ah, okay.
So people drill that out and put that in, then there's no pressure. The head, all the oil drains out of the head. You need that check valve to hold the pressure in the cylinder head. So when you start the car up the next day, it's still got oil filled in the head and the hydraulics and stuff.
It doesn't, yeah, okay. So that's why you don't drill them out.
Don't drill it out, yeah.
Yep.
Just knock that in there. Then put the new restrictor in top.
Yep.
On top of it. So you want to get it just past the surface.
Yep, so it's flush.
And use a decent sized punch so that it doesn't
Deform the top.
deform the hole. I
Yep.
always check the hole after with a drill just to make sure that I haven't burred it over.
Yep.
So I just get it in past flush and then I'll just peen around the outside with a punch.
Yep.
So that folds the metal over and that stops the restrictor from shooting out if it's gunning. Obviously you wouldn't go over here with
Yep.
a punch. But on the gasket, the hole, the feed hole, is actually fed from the block through the gasket around the head bolt hole into the oil hole in the head.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there's a teardrop shaped hole here.
Yeah.
And that's what feeds the oil across and around the head bolt and up into the cylinder head. If you look in the cylinder,
right.
in the head bolt hole on the cylinder head, you'll see there's a feed hole in these two head bot holes.
Yeah.
That's how the head gets its oil from there.
Yeah, right. Alright.
You don't have to be too crazy. I have gone down 1 mil on some race ones.
Yep.
Then I have had some that with 1 mil restrictors in them, the tappers are very noisy.
Yep.
The hydraulics. Yeah, so just around the outside.
Yep.
You remember that shape is like that on the gasket.
Yep.
You can put a gasket on there and have a look. You wouldn't want to be peening over here like this sort of thing with it.
Yep.
Because you're going to lower the metal and it's not going to seal in that area. So if you keep that peening just right near the outside.
Yep.
A lot of people don't peen it, I always do it.
So it can't
worried
come
about
back out.
this jet coming out. So if it comes out, it'll go against the head and then it won't feed any oil. So
there you go. And you can get those restrictors from the Lewis Engines website as well.
yeah, I've got a whole lot.
Got plenty.
Yeah, and I've got block offs as well.
Oh, cool. So what would you do now if you wanted to change them?
Now you'd have to drill these top ones out.
Yep. So you just drill the top one out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then you drill small and then keep going up in bigger drills until there was no material around the outside, and then it basically falls out. Like those plates.
Yep, like we did with the crank.
Same thing, yeah.
Yep. So there you go. So what are we going to do next?
Next, we will hone the bores.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the block ready for honing. What's this gadget here you got?
This is just a sun and hone. So these are stones here. So you've got 2 pairs of stones and 2 shoes.
Yep.
Which the shoes just hold the hone stone straight.
Oh, okay.
So what we'll do is we'll just rough the bores. There's a 500 grit stone.
Yep.
So we'll just rough the bores with this, and then we'll just give it a pattern with this thing, because
The dunny brush.
Yeah, dunny brush. Yeah, these little sandpaper balls. The finish you get on them is perfect for molly.
Yep.
Molly top ring.
And just so everyone knows, we're reusing the standard pistons
Yeah.
with different rings on it.
Yeah. So this,
Well, brand new rings, basically. Yeah.
this sort of job you'll do when you're using the old pistons again, and you just want to put new rings.
Yep.
So you'll use this process here, what people call re-ringing a motor.
Yep.
So when you're going to re-bore your block, say from 86 mil to 86.5, we have to set it up on the machine and bore material out.
Yep.
And leave 4 to 5 thou to hone.
Yep.
That has to be done on a proper automatic machine.
Yep.
That's another process, but
So we're only getting away with this because we're staying with the same pistons.
same pistons,
Yep.
and we're just freshening it up, putting a new set of rings in, so we'll do it this way.
Yep.
Yeah, so the automatic machine, to take 4 to 5 thou out, you'll never do that with this type of thing.
No,
You couldn't even take a half a thou, 3/4 of a thou out with this thing if you tried.
Yep.
It just won't. It just doesn't have enough, because this is only a hand loading device here.
Yep.
You couldn't load it up, whereas the automatic machine loads it up internally inside the machine, and it'll put as much load on as you want it. But yeah, this is only just meant for re-ringer. That's what they terminology. Re-ring.
So you just adjust that till it's firm, I guess.
Yeah, just so it doesn't spin it around in your hands.
Yep.
That's all we want to do, just to
like that.
deglaze it. So just see, like you can see the wear in there, so it never wears up the top where the ring doesn't touch.
Yep.
But
So you're pretty much just getting rid of all the build up and
yeah, just making a nice clean finish for the rings to bed in. So, I mean, this wear here, this thing's obviously not going to turn around corners, so it's not going to hone this out to the worn peak.
Yep.
But that's why I like using this with this sort of job, because this will go into those marks.
Yep.
And it will make it look nice and give it a good finish.
Cool.
So yeah.
Now we're just going to do the rest of them. Right, so you can see the marks from basically doing that, and then we just use the dunny brush. So where you want to start?
I'll just put a bit of... it's a good enough hone for what we're doing. It's not a full house rebore job, so it's just the honing finish is fine here. Messy job,
Isn't it?
Now it's a better looking thing. See that? So look at that one compared to that. See how the hone marks have sort of gone into the worn area a bit. And
yep.
It's going to help it along on its way.
Bloody oath.
But that finish on these little balls is perfect for a molly ring. Like if someone's doing a quick hone job, some people do this in the car.
Yep.
They'll take the sump off and they'll pull the pistons out. And they'll get this thing in there and give it a hone and it'll go again. You know, for 50,000, 70,000 Ks or something. So,
boom. Just like that, eh?
resurrected.
Brand bloody new. Okay, so now we've done the old hone job. We're gonna, now this is on a crazy angle, but we got to do the idler pulleys. So this is where the factory RB31 is. On a Series 2 block, they've already given you the hole that you just need to tap. Oh, actually, it's already tapped. So everything's already done for the idler tensioner to sit on this one. Some people just retain this one as well, and then just chuck another stud in here and run both the tensioners there, but that's actually incorrect. And I'll tell you, well, actually Darren will tell you exactly why that's incorrect, and he's going to show you where you need to move this one too. And it's up the top here somewhere, but he's going to thoroughly explain this for us, because there is a lot of confusion around the internet of what is right and what's wrong and whatever. So yeah, fire away, mate.
So what we do is we take this stud out of here. That's where the stud fits on the RB30.
Yep.
Because signal overhead cam engine's only got the tensioner on this side. So what we'll do is we'll use this stud.
Yep.
We'll take it out of here, and we're going to end up putting it up here.
All right.
So you run the fixed idler here.
Yep.
And then we use the adjustable.
Okay, cool, cool.
On this side.
So then it'll pretty much be the same as like a 25. Like
yeah.
having, yep.
Yeah, but just higher up.
Yep.
Here, because people do run it here, but the belts touch just about here.
Jesus.
And I've seen them on the dyno running in between the two cam gears. The belt lifts up about 20 mil when it's running. It's real scary shit when you see that. So since I've seen that, I've done it this way, and it's worked fine for everybody. But with the fixed idler, that'll go in that spot.
Yep.
And then these idlers that got the cam adjustable for the belt tension, that'll go up in that spot.
So is there a specific measurement?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Because obviously there's a lot of material in that part of the block.
With the stud, the drill hole just goes into the water jacket, like on the where the bore curves around, where the stud hole's drilled. The very corner of it on this side breaks into the water.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, so I just put a bit of like Loctite thread sealer on the stud, and that's what you need to do. Basically, got to get this 6 mil hole here.
Yep.
and we go across 30 mil,
Yep.
and then 20 mil down from the deck. So what I always do is I go right in the centre of that 6 mil hole.
Yep.
It's not measured with a micrometer, it doesn't have to be within a thou, as long as it's within the half a mil sort of deal.
Yep.
So that's our 30 mil across, and then we've got 20 mil down from the deck.
And do you have to use a different timing belt then, or are you still...
Yeah, there's a different timing belt, Volkswagen diesel timing belt.
Yeah, right.
So then bring that 20 mil down.
Yep.
So that's where the stud has to go.
So right there is where
30
you're gonna...
across and 20 down, yeah, so just centre pop that and then I'll drill it.
Yep.
10 by 1.5 thread.
Yep.
And that's it.
So 10 by 1.5, you'd have to drill that 8.5 mil.
Yep, 8.5 drill, yep. So you sort of start with a 6,
Yep.
then go to 8.5.
Yep.
But with these blocks of Series 2, when you're doing the twin cam heat conversion, you need the Series 2, which has got this area here for the fixed idler to go onto.
Yep.
So when we now run that fixed idler and the tensioner up here, so the Series 2 block has got this pad for that to mount on. So the earlier RB30s, which people call the Series 1s, don't have this pad there, so it's just all this casting stuff.
So it's almost like that casting just follows all the way up.
It's got that hole, that casting with this divot in it. So it's like trying to mount the tensioner here, which is not going to happen. So that is the thing you got to look for.
Cool.
If you haven't got that, you can't do it.
So Series 1 RB30s,
No go.
useless. Drilled and tapped. So that's all good now. But with the beamer, every time I do the timing belt now, I always change a stud. I'm that scared of it snapping.
Yeah.
Power tune have snapped one before.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I just get paranoid about
For
it.
the sake of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But
These are nice because it's got a 10 by 1.5 thread in the block.
Yep.
And 1.25 here. So on a 25 where this idler is,
Yep.
you've got a nice little flat washer and like a wave washer and a 10 by 1.25 nut which you can just transfer straight here. So you don't have to go searching through
So it's already all there.
boxes to find nuts.
Easy. Some
Loctite 567 thread sealer,
easy done.
master pipe sealer.
And that's mainly because you can hit the water
You can
jacket.
hit through water, but we've been lucky here we didn't go through water.
Yep.
So this casting must be a bit thicker. I'm probably one thread back from the water, so it must be close to breaking into the corner of the water. The corner of the hole normally goes into the water jacket.
Yep.
We're pretty lucky with that one. But
Awesome.
try to not drill it so deep where you go through the water if you can.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a lot better than having a potential water leak if something comes loose, you know.
Yep.
But that worked out real nice. But put sealer on it anyway, just in case there is a small hole in there.
Yep. And then you'll never have a leak. So now we're going to move on to the crank now.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're going to chuck the crank in the balancer, I believe, and we'll see how good the standard crank is. So here we are at the balancing machine, you'd call it.
Yeah.
And to me, this just looks like a pile of metal because I have no idea what's going on.
It's an old analog machine, so there's no digital readouts, nothing fancy, but it's an old machine that, well, I've been using this particular style of machine since I was about 15.
Yeah, right.
And I like it because it's an analog thing, it tells you what it is. I can feel it through the floor.
Yep.
If the machine gives me a reading that I don't think is happening, I can actually feel it through the concrete if it's out.
Wow.
Rather than a digital machine, it's giving you a number and you don't know. You know, sort of.
So how's it?
I like it. It's an easy machine to use.
So how's it projected to there?
Yeah.
Like,
so the crank will sit on these rollers, so it gets spun by this drive, and you have a pickup on the front and the rear of the crank.
Yep.
And then what happens? It'll when it turns, the vibration will go into this movement on the cradle. So there's a servo pot there. So this movement here is transferred into that servo pot. So this movement gets sent to the gauge as a amount of grams out.
Far out. So you got one of them.
I don't know how it converts it. It does. That's the machine people. That's how they design it. but there's one at the front, one at the rear. So what we do is we pick up how much out of balance is at the front, then the machine tells you where to drill or grind. Then you remove metal as close to the pickup as you can, and the same with the rear. Remove metal until it reads 0. I try to get it sort of bouncing on that 0, which is fairly accurate.
Far out.
I send sometimes every now and then something gets done at another shop where they've got like a $70,000 machine, and they always say, geez, that old machine still works good. So I'm happy to have my machine tested some, you know, over the time. You sort of worry, you know, is it right? But I can actually feel it through the floor when it's spinning. Even though it's spinning at 500 revs, which is half idle speed, that's the revs that this style machine does the balancing at.
Cool. I'm keen to see this actually. Wow. So that's 500 RPM.
That's 500, that's half idle.
Makes you realise how much.
You see,
that's insane. You think about like what one of my engines does at 10,000. That is ridiculous.
So the front pickup, that's on the rear pickup now. That's reading the out of balance on the rear pickup. So the needle will tell me how many grams out of balance. So that's basically spot on.
Yeah, right.
That's out of the factory, which is unusual. They're normally about 10 to 15 grams out.
Yeah, right.
And that's the front. I mean, you wouldn't touch that.
Wow.
That's perfect. That's probably very, very unusual. Normally they're sort of out here, you've got to linish them here, you've got to take maybe 10 to 15 grams off of it, which is, to look at it realistically, that hole there would be 5 grams. So that hole there would probably be about 10. So that's the amount of material you normally have to take off the crankshaft somewhere.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But this one is perfect, so you got an easy one there. But once again, you don't know if it's out until you spin it up. A lot of guys will say, why do I have to balance it? It wasn't vibrating. Well, you don't know until you spin it, really.
So that one's good for 10,000 RPM?
I don't know, about 10, maybe 5. 5?
No, we're not sure what we're going to rev this one to. Probably only 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's only a budget build after all.
Keep it under.
Yeah.
But that's good, man.
Cool.
So you don't know until you spin it up.
Yeah. Right, so now we move the crank onto the lathe. And
56 RPM.
56 RPM. Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
So this is the linishing tool.
So different grades of linishing paper. When you hear people talk about micro polishing crankshafts, that's what they're doing, is linishing the journals. So the crank's spinning clockwise as it does in the motor. And then where this spins, so the molecules of the surface of the crank are getting peeled backwards. So we wouldn't want to make them the other way like a shark spin, because they're going to dig into the bearing. So it's got to be polished in the way of the crank spins.
Yeah, right.
See a lot of guys will wrap a bit of sandpaper and a shoestring around and they'll go backwards and forwards. It's not a good thing to do, because the surface is going to be lifted up on one side that it's going to try to rip into the bearing. So it's got to be polished the other way. So you don't want it to touch the bearing, but if it's going to, most bearing problems start from crankshaft touching the bearing and then it just goes bad from there. But you want to try to alleviate that by making journal finish really smooth and the correct direction.
There you go. And just like that, you now have a linished crank. Far out.
See the
Yeah,
nice finish, man.
I did a real close up of a dirty one to.
Just shiny, beautiful.
That's good, isn't
And the
it?
shinier it is, the better. Like there's a bit of controversy people say over the years. You know, you don't want it too shiny. Well, you do actually want it shiny. You want it like chrome.
Yeah, right. So what is that? It with the crank? We don't.
Yeah, that's it now. So what we can do is wash it all up and rifle brush those holes through again.
Yep.
And blow it off, and then we can put these plugs in.
Yep.
And then it's ready to go in the engine then.
Far out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting. All right, I'll get cleaning. All right, so we got the crank all sorted. That's in the machine room now. I mean the assembly room now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the rods that we're going to be putting the ARP rod bolts into, and these are actually
SR20.
SR20 rod bolts. And so yeah, we need a packet and a half.
Or when you buy them from the shop, they'll sell you 2 packets.
Well, yeah.
You have 4 left over, but because you're doing them all the time, you end up.
Yeah.
Someone gets the other half eventually.
Yeah, you can't ask for a pack and a half.
No,
unfortunately.
they're gonna laugh. Yeah.
So disassembling all the rods, and then I don't quite understand how this all happens, but
We just knock the bolts out of it. So what we've got to do then is put them on the cap grinder.
yep.
And so in here there's a stone.
Yeah, right.
So the cap or the rod, whatever you're doing, will sit on the top there, gets clamped in the vise, sits on that bar,
And then just
and
gets
just wind the stone up to it and remove metal off. So then when it's put back together, the hole was smaller. So then we'll hone the hole round again. Whatever size we need to. Or,
right.
Within a tolerance, there's a bit of a variation there that we can juggle the bearing clearance around a bit with that half a thou here and there. We can juggle it.
So the main reason for us doing this is due to the strength of these standard ones, right?
Yeah,
They're just piss weak.
shit. Yeah,
Yep.
And these things are better quality material and all heat treated.
Yep.
And you can do these up tighter, so it'll clamp it better.
Yep.
And this fit here, where it fits in to locate the cap and the rod, is better.
It's not like just a nail like this.
Yeah, it'll fit nicer. It locates the rod better. So the repeatability, when you take this cap off and on, it'll go back into shape every time the same.
Yep.
That's sort of a bit, yeah, they move around a bit. That's not the main reason we use it. The main reason is because of the strength.
Yep.
The fitting of them it comes with it, yeah.
So you're literally just making it smaller.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take about 2 or 3 thou off each half.
Yep.
See how bad they are? That hasn't cleaned up there.
Yep.
So we'll give it more.
That looks cool, eh? Beauty.
Nice and flat.
So you do that with obviously the top and the bottom.
Yeah, the top and the bottom on each rod, yeah.
And we'll repeat that over
6
of them. Cool.
It's a stone, so it makes a real nice finish.
Yeah. Then we've got 5 more to go. Alright, so all the rods have been done. We're now going to clean them up. So just going to blow all the crap off them.
Yeah, just blow the metal out of the holes.
Yep. Oop.
And that's it.
And then they go into this machine to get resized. And as you can see, well, these ones, you can't even see the frickin' mark where they join anymore. That's ridiculous. So putting the ARP rod bolts in.
Slide them in. And they don't go all the way, they've got a bigger shank on top.
Yep.
So the bolt locates nice in the rod end. So to get a fairly big socket and sit it on there.
Make sure it's flush.
Press it in the vise.
Alright.
Press it all the way home, because if you try to put the cap on and turn the nut, these heads will end up turning.
Ah,
and
of course.
Yeah, it's better to do it. Just locate it to the rod first, and then...
So just push them straight in.
And just in like that.
Boom. Done. Easy as that.
That's it, mate.
So in the packet they give you this...
45 foot-pounds.
Okay, cool.
Or you can stretch them to 6.5 thou to 7 thou.
Yep.
With a stretch gauge, if you want to do it like that.
Yep.
Or you can just use the 45 foot-pounds tension.
So that's what you do? Just 45?
Yeah, yeah. If it was a L19 bolt or ARP 2000 or something in a set of H-beams, I like to do it stretch.
Yep.
And then you record the length of the bolt.
Yep.
And then next time you rebuild the engine, if the bolt stretches longer to get that stretch, you throw the bolts out.
Which I should have done last time.
Yeah. Yeah, well that's the ideal way of doing it, is to do it with a stretch, but you've got to record the length of the bolt when you do it. Otherwise you don't know what's happening to the bolt.
Yep.
But with these bolts here, just normal 45 foot-pounds is...
Cool. And you always use the lube.
Always got to use lube.
And you chuck in your fancy rod vise. Jesus. Just like that. Done. So that's 45 foot-pound.
45 foot-pounds, yeah.
Yeah. So once this rod's set up and you machine that one, we don't have the bearings to double check today, guys, so we're just going to show you really quickly how this machine works, and we're going to pretty much leave it on that. But
yeah, there's the guides here, there's 2 shoes.
Yep.
And then that's the stone.
So the stone does the cutting.
The stone does the cutting, yeah. And this will spin, and the pedal controls how much this is coming out.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, see that stone will move in and out as I put the foot on the pedal. That's what it's doing as it's running, yeah.
And then you run off this indicator here.
Yeah, you can watch that. It's a bit... Yeah, I don't really worry about that. I sort of go by feel. If you watch that, it's sort of a bit...
Yep.
But what happens is the tunnel of the rod, so they'll tell you it's 2.086 and 6/10 to 2.087.
Yeah, right.
In imperial. So between bottom tolerance and top tolerance, there's 4/10 of a thou.
Far out.
So I always like to keep the tunnel small to get a lot of bearing crush.
Yep.
But when you're juggling stuff like that, you've got to have the bearings to measure it. So what we'll do is we'll go to 2.086 exactly.
Yep.
Which is 6/10 under bottom size, smaller than bottom size.
Yep.
So then when we get one at 2.086, what we'll do is we'll clamp the bearings in it, measure the crank, and then measure the bearing clearance.
Cool.
Because these ACL race bearings have usually got a thou more clearance than like an NDC or a genuine Nissan bearing. Yep. So we try to close that up a bit. What we want is about 2 to 2.5 thou. Cool. Bearing clearance. And we just want to creep up on it rather than just machine it out. Then we have to do all that closing down again to hone them out again. So, I mean, we're only juggling a half a thou here and there. We're not talking a mile. But yeah, it's just nice to do it while you're going.
Yeah, otherwise the process just gets longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people will just resize that to a size, and whatever the clearance is, it is. You know, some people don't even check the bearing clearance, but while we're machining something, we might as well do it correctly. Yep. Rather than people that are assembling it and don't have measuring equipment, they'll be in a lot of trouble with it. You know? So.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Well, all this stuff is completely new to me, so it's bloody interesting.
So I've just set that with a 0 to make sure that the mic is reading 0. Yep. Because you can alter this to get your 0. So those are a standard. That's exactly at 2 inch. Yeah, right. So you always check the mic first. You put that standard in.
To double check it. Yep, yep.
And then you check the 0. Make sure no one's dropped the mic. Yep. No one's altered it at all. You know, like if there's other people in the shop, they tend to play around with stuff and don't say. You know, so yeah.
Oh, okay. So then you just set that thing up there.
Yeah. And
you can pull the rod off, double check it.
Just spin it around. And, and you always rock the micrometer, what we call rocking it.
Yep.
between the faces of the mic, because even though the better the mics, the flatter that edge is.
Yep.
When you're measuring stuff, this tends to wear, and sometimes they get curved or convex or whatever in here on that face.
Yep.
So by rocking it to get your biggest size is what you've got to do. Put that on there, and we're 2 thou smaller.
Yep.
So you can see how out of round that is.
Yeah, wow. I don't know if they can see that. Yeah.
So
yeah, wow.
that's how out of round it is.
Jesus.
So the machine will make that round.
That's crazy.
And so that'll verify how out of round this bore goes when
Yep.
you put these bolts in. A lot of guys will say to me in the past, we just fitted these bolts and we didn't resize this.
Yep.
Well, they're lucky. I don't know how that works. But
Oh, and they've gotten away with it.
they got away with it. I don't. Yeah, you'll see how far that out of round is. Then, you know, this pump on this is pretty good. Courtesy of my friends at CVO Machinery in Victoria. Give them a bit of a pun. Those guys have got really good machines there. If anyone wants to buy any good machines, CVO Machinery in Victoria.
There you have it, eh?
Do advertising over here.
And Darren's after a new machine.
Yeah, thanks, boy. Need some rod mandrels. I can get them within like 1/10 of a thou
Yeah, wow.
from one side of the tunnel to the other. So you got to, like, from there to there, from along that width, you don't want to see any more than 1/10 of a thou
Yep.
variation. I can get them within that, there's no problem. Just by hand stroking.
Yep.
The machine's got a automatic where this sits in a cage and this thing moves automatically.
Oh, yeah.
I never use it because you chews out the stones too fast.
Yep.
And you can't get your stroking right, and you just end up creating more trouble trying to get the rod. You know, this way here, you just got to keep your fingers out of the way.
Yeah. I was looking at that going...
Yeah, I have had them chopped before, don't worry.
Oh, so we'll probably stop filming now, guys.
Yeah.
But as you can see, it's a very lengthy process, and we'll be back in a sec. We'll let Darren focus on not chopping his fingers off.
Yeah.
All right, so Darren's going to finish these off at a later date, but we're just going to show you guys the process of balancing the conrod. So this machine here, Darren's going to explain everything in a sec.
Yeah, so with the rod, we don't just put the whole rod on the scale and then just grind off till they're all the same weight. We've actually got to grind material off of the big end and the small end, so they've both got to be weighted from end to end, we call it.
Yep.
So what we're doing is we're finding the center of gravity, so that's what this thing is achieving. So we want to know the exact weight of this big end without this interfering with it and pulling it and altering its weight.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Sort of thing. So if we had something balanced like, say this, to find the center of gravity of that, where that's going to balance because it's heavier one end like the conrod.
Ah,
like
okay.
Center of gravity.
Yep. Yep.
So that's the point of center of gravity where I was holding it. So this is finding the center of gravity of this.
Yep.
And how we set this up. It's a bit of a trick. On a 6-cylinder, we're just doing the weight of the end is the weight of the end. It doesn't go anywhere from there. So,
yep.
But what happens with a V8, the actual weight gets clamped to the crank. So this exact weight is really important when you're doing a V8. As long as all the 6 are the same.
Yep.
That's what we're trying to achieve with the 6-cylinder. So if it's here, the weight's different.
Yep.
If it's here, the weight's different.
Yeah, okay.
So what we're going to do is get that arm so that, see how when I lift the rod up, the arm pulls inwards?
Yep.
So we've got to pull it this way.
So it's dead down.
Yeah, until it doesn't move. See that?
Yep.
So I'm lifting it off its weight, and this arm's not pulling in any fashion. So this is actually reading the exact weight of that end from the center of gravity, invisible center of gravity.
Yep.
So it's 477.9 grams. So what we'll do then is we'll go through all of the other 5.
Yep.
And put them on here and see which one is the lightest one, and then we'll grind all the heavy ones down on the big ends to the lightest weight one, and we'll just remove the metal here on the linishing belt.
Oh, okay.
Until they're all the same weight.
Yep.
And then what we'll do then is we'll set it up and put it all this side, and then set it up again the same and weigh the small ends. And grind them off to the lightest one.
Yeah, right.
Then, to check the accuracy of our setup, each rod sitting by itself on the scales will theoretically weigh exactly the same, and that sorts them out from the boys in the balancing world.
Far out.
Yeah, so the same with the V8. The rod's got to be done from end to end, because on the big end this is going reciprocating and rotating.
Yep.
And this one here is reciprocating.
Yep.
So they've got to be done separately to each other, the weights.
Yeah.
So one's going round, one's going up and down.
Wow, I had no idea about that.
So yeah, that's the balancing theories and the centre of gravity stuff and all that.
Far out. Well, there you have it, eh? Alright guys, so we're going to wrap it up here. Darren's going to finish off the rods. Basically, what are you doing? You're bloody...
Resizing the rods.
Resizing the rods.
Yep.
And then you're going to balance them.
Balance them, yeah.
And then I'm not going to, because I'm not going to be able to get back this week. So while he gets that done, when I come back, we'll be getting straight into assembling the short block.
Yeah, you can clean the block up and wash that and get that ready to put together.
So clean the block, I'll take, clean the pistons up.
Yep, and we can balance those.
And we're going to balance the pistons.
And then the short motor's ready for assembly then.
Awesome.
Yep.
So crank's good to go. And everything else will be ready to go by then.
We've drilled that stud in the block, that's all ready to go.
Yep. So that block's all good.
Stud.
I just got to clean that really well.
Clean it, yeah, a couple of hours to clean it.
Because it's still got this bloody orange crap on it.
Yeah, you have to get the wire wheel onto that and get rid of that shit. There's something
growing in it.
Something's been.
But the hones come up bloody good, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's alright for an old jigger.
The old dunny brush.
Yeah.
So that's another solid day here at Lewis Engines.
I reckon, yeah.
So thanks for all your time, mate.
No problem. Anytime.
And yeah, we'll be back. Oh, what do you reckon? It's
next
bloody
week,
hard. Yeah, we can try for next week. We'll see. I'll hit you up, see how you're going with everything, because Darren's got a lot going on as it is.
During the week we'll be able to do that stuff. There's not a lot of time involved in it. It's just getting to that. And,
yeah, we'll wrap it up there, guys, and we'll be back for part 3 of the RB30 budget build very soon. And it's not going to be as long of a wait as it was from part 1 to part 2. All right, Darren, thanks, buddy.
No, that's all right.
And we'll be back soon, guys. Thanks heaps for watching.
Thank you.